Hey everyone, so today I want to talk about an interesting concept of how we have taken on a belief around knowledge and what we were taught in our school systems in terms of if you know something, it's done through writing an exam or writing a test, and that tells you you know something. So this is a program. This is a program that runs in our consciousness that we don't even know about, and it plays out our whole entire life where our own ego, our identity, seems to think that when we read something, when we read an article, when someone tells us something, that we know it. And this is the biggest mistake they could make in terms of any one of you who are entrepreneurs, trailblazers, influencers, looking to achieve excellence in your life. You can't achieve excellence with the way we're taught in the system. And so I'm going to go into deeper detail about that. So the educational system basically taught us, and this is how we go throughout life, that you know something if you can memorize it or you can get tested on it or you've read it and you can intellectually say, I know that. But see, I shared the other day that intellect and intelligence are not the same thing. Words are very stealthy and they have been manipulated and they carry spells. So you need to understand that we're saying so many things and we're ignorant of what they mean and the tone and the vibration that comes out of our throat into the ether, and it's manifesting our reality. And, understanding this at a fundamental level at this point in history, where we are right now, is really pivotal. To stay ignorant and to keep trying to do things in a physical world and not even include the invisible world, to me, is complete ignorance. You will not ever achieve the level of excellence or the level of success in your business or your life if you continue to operate from just the physical side of who you are. It just will not work. So this is where you do not know anything. You literally do not know anything unless you take that knowledge and you apply it somewhere in your life. And that feeling that you receive through the application is called an experience. And that's how you connect with your central nervous system. That's the control center of your behavior. I never used to look at it this way, and I find it so interesting now that you can't unsee things that you finally get to see. But the fact that our behavior is what's controlling everything, and we don't even know what's controlling our behavior, that's why we end up blaming the world. We blame our boss, we blame the educational system. But it's really interesting that the whole entire thing is always about you. It's about your energy. It's about who you're being, what your thoughts are, what's your mind operating at. Because the mind is behind your behavior. And your mind is not something that you can tangibly see. It's in the intangible. So understanding what's controlling your behavior is what's going to deliver you the wealth and the riches and the success that you're looking for in your business, or it's going to keep you where you are right now. So this is the operating system. This is the understanding of you as a quantum human being in a quantum universe, and understanding how you operate between the physical and the non-physical, because you're doing it every day. And if you're not aligning with exactly what you want, and you're not seeing in your reality exactly what it is that you really, really want, then the first thing I really want all of you to learn today is that you can have it. You're just not an equal match for it. What does that mean? You're not a vibrational match to it. You have no idea who you have to be vibrationally to be able to call that in. And that's only because we're not taught that. And here's something I usually just teach within my programs, but I want to share this with you so you have an idea. When you think about the idea of money, it's like an idol. It's like a god. It's something that has been symbolized in a way that's more weaponized for humanity in terms of success or failure, in terms of abundance or scarcity and poverty. And what I want you to understand when I say this is when you, or most of you, think about money, there's usually a negative, a fear connotation attached to it. When you think about money, it doesn't grow on trees. When you think about money, do I have enough to pay my bills? When you think about money, it's like, can I afford this house? When you think about money, I can't go on this trip because I don't have enough of it. And even the wealthy always have fears of losing their money. And it's all an idea. But where I want to peel back the layers and get you guys to really understand is at the core of all of that idea is your essence. It's your vibrational signature. And this is what the universe is responding to. So when you think about fear, scarcity, competition, jealousy, it all has to do with the fact that you don't understand that money is just an idea. It's an energetic frequency, and that all of us have been conditioned to put it on a pedestal and to fear it. And it's even interesting, like I said, when you're rich and wealthy, you're still fearing it. Doesn't even make sense, does it? Because it's embedded within your DNA code. So this is the information I want you to understand. It's always about your vibrational frequency. So whether you are consciously awake and aware of how you're feeling, what I love so much about the third dimension is it's only about experiences and feedback. That's all I ever teach you guys. When you're in the third dimension, you're not here to create. You're here to experience and receive feedback so you can course correct or you can up-level yourself. That's it. But everyone's using it as the end-all be-all of all reality when that is not reality. Reality is in the invisible. You are not in reality in the third dimension. You're in a holographic expression of what you have created. That's the truth. So when you understand, when you think of money, and there's any connotation of fear or lack or scarcity or jealousy or, survival of the fittest, I got to get, you have to understand you're in a vibrational frequency of lack. So this is why 99% of the humans in this world who are entrepreneurs, trailblazers, influencers, are truly trying to do good in this world, can't seem to accumulate the amount of wealth that they desire, or they can't hold on to it. And it's always because of these underlying frequencies. So it's not about the outside surface. It's always about the inside, the inner part of you. And that's what you got to tidy up. That's what you got to use an X-ray for. You've got to go within and really see what's going on in there vibrationally so that you can change everything in the external world. But we're taught to just be on the surface. We're taught just to be in the physical world and fix everything there. And that's the biggest problem. So when we think about universal laws that govern our being, that govern this universe, it's the rules of the game in order to manifest what you love or manifest what you don't love. Either way, they're just showing you the consequences of your behavior. That's what universal laws are. So a lot of people talk about we're here to learn lessons. Well, the universal laws are showing us where we need to learn our lessons. If we're not achieving exactly what we want, if we're thinking in our minds of exactly what we want, we see it, we know we want it, we're doing all the physical things to get it, but we still don't have it. Universal law is brilliant. It's showing you that your behavior, who you're being, is giving you the consequences, the effects. And if it's not what you want, you got to go back into the operating system and change things up. So I want to use an example, and I'll use myself. This might be relatable to some of you who are watching me, but for a long time, when I was on this journey, all I wanted to do was to find out what is the secrets of being rich? Like I read all the rich books, all the money books, all the entrepreneur ideas of what you have to do and how things work. And I even worked with Bob Proctor because they say, put yourself in environments with people who have the life, the mindset, the things that you want, and this solves your problems. Well, clearly it didn't. But what I'm trying to say is we gather information. And I learned this very, very profoundly when Bob talked about this, the mind. And it's not your brain. Your mind is not here. It's not tangible. It's everywhere and nowhere. And so when you're operating with something you can't see and you're not taught about it, you're not going to know how it works. And that's the problem that I see and that is happening in our reality right now. We're operating with something that is extremely powerful. It's intangible and there's no rules to it. So this is why we see the shit show that we see playing out in every one of our own realities. So I set on a journey that I was going to figure out what is the secrets behind success. What is it that the 1%, 2% of humanity knows, not the elites that have been stealing money, but the truth about how people go from lack and poverty or just getting by to extreme abundance. Extreme abundance. And it's the same person. They all were born into the same circumstances, but what about them changed that was allowing them to manifest this new entire reality? And so this is where I want to share with all of you that the way things work is you're gathering knowledge. You're told to read all these books. You're told to learn. This is the educational system that I was talking to you about because we've already adapted. We've already embodied that idea. It is a belief system that we think that when we gather information, when we're around people who are teaching us stuff and we're writing all the notes and we're journaling everything out, that this is knowing how to do something. This is knowing how to manifest what it is that we want. This is knowing how to get rich. And here's the thing. I did all of those things for multiple years and I didn't change much. I actually got more and more and more in debt the more information that I learned. So there is a gap between all of the information that every one of us is gathering and then how about the return on investment? How come the external isn't showing you all of the effort that you're doing when you're gathering all this information? Now, there's a couple reasons behind this, but one of the biggest ones is that's an identity gap. Because it's unconscious, because we're not taught about this, so we don't have a lot of awareness around it, we don't realize that there is an invisible side of who we are, an invisible identity that's operating in the background, right? That is real, that is controlling your behavior, that is navigating your thoughts, that is controlling your vibrational frequency while you are out there trying to make things happen in the physical world. So this is why gathering all that knowledge and the gap between that and return on investment for most of you, I know it was my biggest issue and it caused so much frustration because I'm like, I'm doing what I'm told. I have so much information. I could explain all of this to all kinds of people, but I didn't have the wisdom. I didn't have the awareness. Why? Here's why. I was terrified to apply it. How many of you watching me, no matter where you are in your income, no matter where you are in your business or your life right now, if you're thinking about starting a business, where are you now where you've read all kinds of books, you've taken all kinds of courses, you're probably in so many programs, and yet you're not applying what you're learning? And this is what I want to talk about. So becoming a millionaire, getting rich, having a successful business is definitely nothing to do with what you know, because if that was the case, there are multiple people, thousands or even millions of people right now who have read so much, studied so much that they all should be multi-millionaires, and they're not, because there is that missing piece, that gap of the application of what you know. And that identity gap is the thing that we created as children. That is the identity gap that we created so that we kept ourselves safe in this world. So we don't know about these things. We grow up, our ego is out of control, and we believe we can do everything by ourselves. And we're taught that the only way to achieve anything, to achieve success, to get rich, to be successful, to have the fancy homes, to have all the cars, all the materialistic things, is to do things in the physical world to get them. Work harder, do more. That's not how it works, because most people don't have what they want. So it always circles back to what? Who you are. Who is your essence, your natural essence? What is that vibrational signature that you are emanating into the world? That is giving you the results that you have right now. There's no way you can argue that. So this is where you need to understand that there is a side of you. People call it, your central nervous system, trauma self, your child, your inner child, tangible. It is a real intangible essence that is completely controlling your behavior. And until you get to the bottom of that and know how to reprogram it, like get into the operating system of how it was even put there, and then you can shift it. I want to give a great example. For me, I was terrified to do these things I'm doing right now. I didn't want to go live. I didn't want to show up on Reels. I didn't want to post anything because my biggest fear, or one of them, was the fear of being seen, the fear of rejection, let's say, the fear of what people are going to say. So when these things, and almost all of us have this, almost all of us have these similar fears embedded in our own memories and in our DNA. So when you want to be successful, money and wealth doesn't come because of your actions. Money and wealth comes from who you're being and how you operate within these universal laws. So if you are someone who fears being seen or are worried about what people think about you, you're operating at a very low frequency, and it's based in fear, because fear is the low frequency. So you go out and you do all these actions. You go out there and work really hard. You're wasting your time. You're wasting your time. You can try to push and push and push and push and push, and you will get some results, but I'll guarantee you this, they're not sustainable, because the universal laws don't work that way. What you resist persists. If you are not in flow, you're going to go back, like the pendulum, to where you are originally in your essence, what your vibrational signature is dominantly expressing into this universe. So I want you guys to understand that social media has been used as a weapon, and you need to understand that what you perceive out there doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So I know in the coaching industry, you'll see certain coaches post, and it seems like a lot, where all these people are becoming millionaires working with her or him. But you have to understand that if you were to step back and actually see the bigger picture, the amount of people that are coming into the coaching industry or trying to start businesses, and they're entrepreneurs and they're trailblazers and so forth, it's very few that are achieving these levels of success. And the ones that are, they're in very close proximity with their coach or mentor. And there's a whole reason why that works, because it does. But if you're just in groups and you're in programs and you're reading books and you're casually doing master classes, what are you doing? You're gathering information. Now, information isn't bad, but it's the missing piece of the puzzle that manifests things into your reality, is the action piece. If you're not applying what you're learning, which most are not doing, then it's just gathering information and you're not changing. And so it gets so frustrating for me when I see all these people out there coaches and mentors trying to tell you that all you need to do is these steps. All you need to do is have this funnel and you need to have this. Those things come into play last. When you've got your energetic signature squeaky clean, when you've removed all of those invisible identities of fearing what people think, worried about losing money, putting money on a pedestal, in a place of need or lack, when all of those things are tidied up, then yes, of course the funnels will work. Anything will work because now you're operating from your personal power. You're working with law. So when you work with law, you're in the vortex. You've heard people talk about being in the zone. You are now aligned with law. So understanding the laws that govern the universe, which governs you, is the most important principles that everyone should be looking into if you want to create a new life, a new reality, brand new business, more money, achieve higher states of excellence in your life. It isn't going to happen from the systems information. You've got to really tap into the place that you can't see because that holds everything. Now, I want to talk about a couple things here. There's different planes of existence, right? There's more than the physical plane of existence for all of you, and I know most of you who are following me know this. But I want you to understand that if you're operating on 3 planes and you only know about 1 plane, right? How well do you think you're going to do when it comes to manifesting the life you want or living the life that you truly want? It's going to be chaotic and it's going to be hit or miss because you're missing the whole picture. And then you got to think about the different identities that are encompassing you, your anatomy. You still think, most people think they're just a physical body, right? But there's multiple layers to you that make you one body, one essence that taps you into the quantum field. And so you've got a mental body, you've got your spiritual body, you've got your physical body, and you've got your emotional body. And no one understands that those are real. They are real and they can be felt. When you start to tap into the quantum, it isn't about physical anymore. It's about how you feel. You feel your way through the quantum. You don't see things. Because when you're feeling, you're creating. When you see things, you're just seeing what you created. Okay, so like I can go on and on and on. There's so many secrets. There's so many beautiful things that we have not been taught about the secrets of the universe and how we operate within it. But I know a lot of you understand the vortex metaphor or being in the zone. All of you have had things happen to you where you don't even know how you got yourself into that essence, into that energetic signature where things just happen to you. You're in flow. How would you love to learn the background of how that even works in the universe, where you can purposely put yourself into the zone and you can purposely put yourself into that power on call? Not by accident, not by default, not once in a blue moon, but you honestly understand how you can put yourself in alignment with these natural laws so that you can now create what it is that you want and not hope or wish that something will just magically show up for you because you're doing all this work. So understanding the rules of the game and aligning yourself with the rules of the game is how you win. And this explains why so many people are trying and trying and trying, and they just can't seem to sustain what it is that they want because the universe is all energy. It does not care. It's impersonal. You match a frequency, you get the result. If you're stressed, if you're tired, if you're frustrated, what results are you going to get from that? So understanding the laws of the game, understanding quantum reality is how you begin to become a conscious creator in your life, where no more blame is around. You understand who you are. It's self-mastery, and you can guarantee your manifestations when you understand that. So if you're someone who's gathered a lot of information like I explained, I spent years doing, and you're noticing that you're buying all these shiny objects and you're not doing anything with them, or you may have achieved some great success, but you're still finding that you're capped. You're capped not only in your income, but you're capped in what you're willing to do. You're noticing you're procrastinating. You're noticing you're making excuses, but you just can't seem to close that gap. Well, this is what you're going to learn in Quantum Reality Masterclass that I'm talking to you about today. I'm going to give you an introduction into this because the Quantum Reality Masterclass is actually a pre-program to my big program that's coming out called By Design. And this is all about working with laws, understanding how you line yourself up with laws so that you can guarantee what you want to manifest. So this is where I want you to understand that there is universal laws. There is rules that govern who you are. And for people to be in that lucky place or be in the zone, this is done through understanding the rules. So if this is something you want to learn how to do, you want to remove the patterns that keep repeating in your life, and you want to really understand yourself at a quantum level, This isn't for everyone, I know that. If you still believe in the physical 3D world to work hard, this is not going to be for you. But if you're ready to tap into the quantum self, the version of you that you cannot see but is controlling everything you do, then this masterclass is going to be a great introduction to having you understand who you are so that you can start to make the right shifts in the invisible realm, not the physical realm, that will change everything in your business. So if this is something you want to join, you want to jump in, we're going to start on October 1st. I'll leave the link to jump into Quantum Reality. Right now it's on presale for $99. I'll leave it below here, or you can DM me for the link. But one of the things I do want to share as well is for those of you who have been following me for a while, and this is an introduction to the By Design program that I have coming out. If you are interested in the By Design program, as well as the Quantum Reality, because it's going to go right into the universal laws, then you can DM me and I'll give you a presale price for that particular program. I haven't even got a date picked out for that yet. It's going to be in November sometime. But if you know you want to align yourself with universal principles, you want to understand how you can tap into the quantum field through these laws and alignment, and you know this right now, then just DM me and I will give you that exact price for all of you who are willing to say yes today to By Design. So joining Quantum Reality is the absolute first thing you need to do if you want to be in By Design, because it is an introduction into understanding who you are before you can start manipulating the universal laws to work for you instead of against you. I just want all of you to know, if you are stuck anywhere, I don't care where it is in your life, it's not because you're not capable of achieving what it is that you see and hear in your imagination. It's not because it just isn't written in the cards for you. You design your destiny, period. You design your destiny. Do not fall for any of the belief systems in the environment that tell you that this is just the way things are, because that's not true. You are the one who is the master of your fate. When you understand how you work in this universe, when you understand that it's more than just physical, it's metaphysical. When you understand the science behind you being rich, wealthy, successful, happy, and healthy, there is an actual equation for it. And we have been purposely taken completely outside of that equation. This is why 99% of the world looks the way it does. But you don't have to stay there if you don't want to. You can choose to understand how to play the game. And Quantum Reality is your introduction into how to do that. So you can DM me for the link to join, or I'll leave it below here in the comments. And one last thing I want to share is I never ask this, but I should start doing it, because I'm finding that a lot of my videos, a lot of my content is not being seen. I have so many people coming to me saying, why aren't you selling programs? Where are you? And I'm selling programs all the time. And if you're not seeing me sell programs all the time, then you're not seeing me. If you feel called to share my reels, share my content to people who you believe would benefit from it, that would be wonderful, because I'm not able to get that out on my own, clearly. And this information, in my opinion, has shifted my life. The understanding of who I am in the quantum field and the universe helps me really understand why I have what I have. So I cannot blame anymore. I take full responsibility. But now I know how to shift that so I can create exactly what I want. And that, my friends, is freedom. So if this is something you want to jump into, DM me for Quantum Reality, and we'll see you soon.